was thinking about why chromatic bass lines in guitar parts work. And what I mean by that is, take this for example. So that actually starts here on the A and goes down. And it's like, wow, how can that sound so musical when by itself? And then I was thinking more, I was like, I wonder what other songs do that. And then I remembered another one of my favorites. Not quite chromatic at the end there, but you get the point. We're going. Crazy, right? And really, when you think about it, it's not that complicated if you break it down. So with the Beatles tune there, that's Blackbird by the Beatles. You've heard it, right? So what's happening here is it's just in the key of G, and we have this 4 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord. But what's going on in between? It's essentially diminished or passing chords. That's the way I like to use diminished seventh chords. Whether or not they are technically correct in the harmonic analysis side of things, I love using diminished seventh chords to move between otherwise kind of boring diatonic progressions. Let's take this chord progression. Let's spice it up. And you'll recognize it in something that I played before. So instead of using those diminished chords without them, it would be kind of boring, right? But so I not only threw in those diminished seventh chords, but I also switched up the voicing of this otherwise kind of traditional minor 7 chord to a minor 9. So with all that said, this is all just kind of my train of thought. This is where my mind went to, just starting with that idea of the chromatic bass line. So then I started thinking about another song that I really like, which is called Your Smiling Face by James Taylor. James Taylor's band and himself as a musician, totally badass, by the way. Now, I would put the song here, but I've watched enough Rick Beato videos to know that I will never be putting any sort of music in my videos, lest they be taken down by the corporate giants in the music industry. So instead, I'll leave that up to you to go check out Your Smiling Face by James Taylor if you want to get a little context as to what I'm about to go over. I'm going to take the key of G for this song, and it really kind of outlines exactly what I was talking about in the beginning, in that it's really a diatonic chord progression, but there are so many different approaches to playing it that you can make it sound interesting depending on, how much music theory you know or what you like your guitar to sound like when it comes to rhythm and comping and things like that. By the way, any of the jargon that you may not understand, you know what to do. Check out the links in the description and you can learn more in-depth stuff from me in my guitar courses. So with this, we're in the key of G, and I'm going to play my interpretation of this chord progression in Your Smiling Face. Super awesome. I really love that song. So essentially what's going on here is there is no guitar part like that in the song. It's a piano part, and James Taylor's playing acoustic guitar with probably kind of open chords or more basic chords. I took the liberty to make it a little bit more jazzy just because I think it really caters to that progression. So what is the point of what I'm saying? Well, the main point is just to have fun when you're learning songs and kind of make your own version of it. There are some songs that must be copied note for note when you're covering them, but other times it's a lot more fun to kind of make your own version of the song using what you know and what sounds good to your ear. So with that in mind, we're going to take that same chord progression and only use triads. What I was using was 7th chords right there. So again, very simple when you break it down. Just the root chord, 6th chord, 5 chord, 4 chord, 3 chord, 2 chord, back to 5, 1. But when you kind of make it a little more flourishy and piano-like, it can be really interesting. And if you noticed, again, another callback to what I was talking about earlier, the main chord progression may have something like this, but I'm again using that diminished 7th as a passing chord. And if you don't know about diminished 7th chords, you can learn about them in Guitar Super System, or just know that they are movable. The same position exists anywhere you move them as long as it's a minor third apart. So you can go something like this, or just simply replace it, something like, it can really open up the fretboard and change the sound of whatever part you're working on. So, back to the triad idea. I'm going to take the same chords and play them only using triads and see what that does for me. And I'm going to stick to some root positions starting out. So kind of a little more do-do-do-do-do kind of sound, I think. So what I would do to kind of spice that up is take some inversions of triads and not play so, chromatically, as it were. It's funny, I started off liking the chromaticism, but now I think it sounds a little too straight ahead. So what I would do there is, instead of playing this root position, G triad, I could play something down there. I like that better. Now, let's kind of mess with the rhythm a little bit. Also, interesting. So the main point, what I'm getting at, is that no matter what way a chord progression is written, if you see on your Ultimate Guitar tabs or something and you go to a chord progression, what's written there on the page is not necessarily what you have to play in order to deliver an awesome end result. This is all real basic music theory. It's just the major scale and then a couple little fancy inversions here and there, but again, very fundamental stuff that you only need to know a little bit of to really go a long way, especially when it comes to comping. So check out my courses if you're interested in learning this type of music theory stuff more in depth, or check out my YouTube videos. There's a music theory playlist with over 100 videos in it. Now, just because, I'm going to go ahead and play that little chord progression and then try and play a solo over it, because that's what I do. I play solos even when I'm not asked to. I hope this was a helpful lesson for you guys. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep shredding.